Hello everyone, welcome to the LeverX webinar series, a free educational service offered to SAP customers to inform and demonstrate SAP functionality and industry best practices to improve your business performance. Our webinar today is entitled SAP Connected Products, Strategy and Innovations. SAP Connected Products delivers a product innovation platform that can effectively manage, translate, and integrate customer-driven engineering innovations throughout the enterprise and into the market by orchestrating all business functions and xBOM requirements. During this webinar, we will review market trends, success strategies, and software solutions that can take your company to the next level. My name is Alan Mendel, Vice President at LeverX, and I will be the moderator for today's webinar. Before we begin our topic, let me briefly introduce you to LeverX. LeverX helps companies increase business value by leveraging existing investments in their SAP solutions.
Great, thanks Alan, and super. So let's get started, and thanks for the introduction. Hello everybody, and welcome again from me to the webinar. What I'd like to discuss with you today, as Alan mentioned, is the SAP Connected Products strategy and the portfolio that supports that strategy. And maybe just a quick word or two on connected products before we get into the meat of the presentation. I find that a lot of times when I'm having this conversation with people, they hear connected products and they immediately say, you're talking about the Internet of Things. And I would say, yes, that's right, that's part of it, but it really goes far beyond the Internet of Things. It also is about how do you connect those product innovation concepts from your R&D and engineering department into the rest of your enterprise? How are you connecting the different resources from human to capital to technology and beyond to bring those to bear on the products that you ultimately want to bring to market? And yes, of course, it also includes the concepts that surround the Internet of Things and how do you prepare your product portfolio to operate within that new paradigm. So with that as a bit of an introduction to connected products, what I'd like to do now is step through a handful of different market trends that we see out there and the different success strategies that we see some of our customers employing in partnership with SAP and our rich ecosystem of partners such as LeverX to make these customers successful. So the first trend that we really see happening out there is one of individualization. And this is true if you're looking at it from a B2C perspective, and here we've got a great example of BMW, and we'll walk through that. But before doing that, I also want to stress that it's also extremely relevant for B2B markets as well. There are plenty of industries out there that have been doing this for decades. Industrial machinery and components is the one that comes to mind most immediately, where custom and individualized solutions have been a table stakes requirement for decades, but it's also true in the process industries. If you think about big chemical companies creating custom lubricants, for example, we have a customer who creates oil lubricants, and those are specifically formulated for their customers' engines. And so it really does span B2C as well as B2B, discrete and process industries. So looking at this example in front of us, BMW has really evolved from, if you think back 10 or 15 years ago, where you had kind of three options. You could buy a 3 Series, a 5 Series, or a 7 Series. Well, today they've expanded from 3 models to 11. They've got 36 different body types, just as many engines, and they've now introduced BMW individualization, which essentially means that you can have a product that is a car that has been tailor-made to your specific requirements, such that no one else perhaps is driving the BMW that you have specified. Now, the way that they're able to do this is by leveraging a success strategy that, if you boil it into one word, is essentially configuration. How are you creating this concept of platforms, which I think is very well understood and adopted in the automotive space, but it's also something that we see expanding into many other industries where you leverage this concept of a configurable platform to deliver the perception and oftentimes the actuality of an individualized product. You'll hear a lot from SAP around digital transformation as well. You saw that on the previous slide. In each of these examples that I'll walk you through, I want to bring into focus what I call a digital accelerator. And so if we think about individualization, the digital accelerator that we really see as changing the game here is extending that design process to your customers. Whether that's thinking of it as BMW pushing the ability to configure their cars to the individual, or whether you think about it in examples beyond that. But how are you extending that design process to pull your customers into that creation process, which really goes not only to alleviate some of the burden on you, but also goes to really lock in customer buy-in to the product that they're ultimately going to be buying. They essentially designed it. So that's the first one, individualization. And again, the success strategy there looking at configuration. The second one, in terms of market trends that we see out there, is speed of innovation. And this is something that I always joke that if I was sitting here talking to you 10 years ago, I would be talking about the speed of innovation is increasing. And I would wager to bet that 10 years from now, we would also be, or will also be here talking about speed of innovation. This is something that is ever increasing. And until we get to a point where we have predictive innovation, which is an interesting concept, I think that we will continue to see the shortening of cycle times as it relates to product development cycles. And the example that I want to share here with you is Nestle. They are managing roughly 10,000 product projects at any given time, over 60,000 different products that they are introducing, modifying, tweaking over the course of the year in 32 different design centers spanning over a dozen different countries. Not counties, apologies for the misspelling there. So Nestle is really, if you think about speed, consumer products I think is a great industry. If you think about magnitude, a really great, kind of almost mind-boggling magnitude in terms of what they're juggling. The ability to do that and what allows them to be successful is orchestration of all of those resources that we had talked about actually in the introduction, where you think about how are you managing the people, the products, the portfolio, the technology, the capital that goes into managing the portfolio and launching different products at this type of scale.